Despite all the briefings in the media, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has decided to surrender. And yes, he is not stopping or blocking ULEZ, the ultra low emission zone. This is not really surprising. I'm not really shocked, but it's absolutely disgusting what's happening. So we now have ULEZ coming in place in Greater London, the expansion. Sadiq Khan has gone against all the advice, all the warnings that this is completely nonsensical. It's not even scientific. It's just a cash cow scheme and you want to control the public. And it's just the beginning of what's going to come next, which you're going to control our movement, paper mile, road charges and everything else. It's all linked. But we were having governmental advisors, everybody, they're briefing the papers until now saying, well, the government still has the mechanism to block it. We are considering it. We are going to talk to our lawyers. Apparently they talked to their lawyers and their lawyers, government lawyers, said, yeah, it's probably best not to take action because you might not win. And Rishi Sunak basically said, okay, fair enough. This is what the Prime Minister, it's the sort of Prime Minister we have now. So we got the Greater London Authority Act 1999. Inside this document, the central government has the power to go and block and veto any measure that comes from the mayoral office that we have now, Sadiq Khan, if it's not consistent. This is exactly the point. So technically speaking, I'm going to tell you why the lawyers are essentially right, not to defend the lawyers, but it's the fault of central government. We already know what's about to come, by the way. So the GLA Act says if the transport strategy or any part of it is inconsistent with national policies relating to transport, it can be blocked. Lawyers have overruled number 10. So, on the one hand, Rishi Sunak is a coward for not even trying, for not even attempting to block it, even if he might lose in court, right? But, technically speaking, they know that they have no ground because it is in fact consistent with national policy. ULEZ might not be a national policy directly, but net zero is. See, everything goes back to the main legislation, thanks to Theresa May and everybody else since her. So the central government have essentially put it in law, written that we have commitment, net zero, that includes transport. So technically speaking, what Sadiq Khan's doing is actually not inconsistent with national policy. This goes back, obviously ULEZ is the fault of Sadiq Khan, but the overall program of net zero and things like that, which also links to transport, is actually the fault of national government. So everything that they've been briefing the papers, as I said weeks ago, when I was reporting that, central government are considering to block it, I said, well, that's going to be quite weird because they are still promoting net zero. They're still going with their own legislation. See, that's where we are. But the Tories, they love to spin the message. It's all about propaganda. They're now blaming the Labour Party. So we have the government, who's obviously now being urged to intervene regardless of legal advice. Downing Street have come out to say, we have and continue to look at options, but they are limited. The people who could stop this tomorrow are the Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan and Sir Keir Starmer. Hang on. I don't like Keir Starmer, but Keir Starmer has no power. Keir Starmer, it doesn't even have public office in terms of governmental public office. Sadiq Khan is mayor. Yes, Sadiq Khan can stop it, but why would he? He's basically just following the national policy agenda. So it goes back to Downing Street. So if Downing Street and central government had a completely different agenda, it would make sense to say, well, the Mayor of London is going against the national policy in Trump. But no, you are going with net zero. He's going with net zero. Why are you pretending to be on the side of people now, Tory government? This is where we have to expose them regardless of political leanings. We don't do partisanship on this channel. It doesn't really matter if you guys are Tories watching this. This is what the government is doing. They are lying to the public. Anyway, we got Duncan Smith, who's actually very sound on these issues. And at this point, just make Duncan Smith party leader. Let's get it over with. I know he wasn't perfect, but at least he's more conservative than the rest of them. He says that the government should intervene and demand that before this can go ahead, that there must be overriding evidence that this would make a major and significant difference to the environment. The whole thing is a fundraiser. It's nothing to do with the environment at all. It's just a very simple attempt to get more money to be able to pay for the damage he's inflicted, Sadiq Khan, on the capital since he took over. I'm up for anything the government can do to stop this nightmare taking place. But they're not listening to Duncan Smith because he's now just a backbencher. Regardless of his experience and his track record, the Tory government are basically saying, shut up, ideas. We don't care about conservatism at this point. And they are now talking about going to the next step. National government and devolved administrations. They're not just talking about road charges, the pay per mile. They're actually, or 15 million neighborhoods, they're talking about monitoring people's behavior, monitoring people's movements, whether you are in a car or not. This is the beginning of a potential social credit system. They are now going to be considering plans for the future in the name of environment and streamlining society to actually check your and monitor your movements using your mobile phone and your mobile devices and everything else. And this is exactly why every time I talk about, obviously, Atlas VPN, which obviously I use personally to make sure my location is hidden and completely changed, is because if you even turn off your location without using any VPN, the big tech still has access to your location, so they can still give it to government. That's why I want to give a massive shout out to Atlas VPN quickly. They have a limited offer if you want to check it out. 85% off, £1.50 a month on top of that, 3 months extra. I'll explain more at the end of the video. I don't want to turn it into a commercial, but that's what I use. That's the best way to actually, at least as an attempt to prepare for the future. It's disgusting what's going on right now. Richard Tice, the leader of Reform, said, "Coward Sunak bottles it again. Refuses to use his legal powers to stop the brutal ULEZ expansion. Scared of a feeble government lawyers, Reform UK mayoral candidate Howard Cox will scrap all ULEZ." Now, there are some people who are shocked and surprised. Some sound conservative-minded people who are even disappointed at the Tory party and Sadiq Khan. But why are you surprised? It's not really that surprising. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. We knew that he's not going to surrender fully on ULEZ. And we knew that the central government were just talking nonsense. Every time I reported on that, I said, well, take it with a pinch of salt, because they keep briefing the papers one thing, but they're going to do their own net zero agenda anyway. So I'm personally not really shocked about any of this. Sadiq Khan came out to say, he's made a video. I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to promote the guy. He said, expanding ULEZ was a difficult decision. Yeah, all right. And he says, but it's the right one to save lives. Oh, yeah, we're going back to saving lives, are we? He says, I've continued to listen to Londoners' concerns, and every single Londoner with a non-ULEZ compliant vehicle is now eligible for financial support. So he's created a tax system to tax people. Then he's going to, and if you basically don't want to pay that tax, it's fine. You can have a scrappage system, financial support. But how does that work? They're going to take your money and give it back to you so you could change your car. The lunacy of this situation. So even the financial support is not financial support because they're taking your money and giving it back to you. A little bit of it. The rest of it will go to the bureaucrats in the HMRC. It just is completely insane. And that's why we had Lawrence Fox, the leader of Acclaim, coming back and replying to Sadiq saying, diversity is our enemy. Especially this medieval king, taxing the poor to fund his fake war on the sun. Every fibre of my being despises what he does, and the Conservatives can't even organise a candidate to take him down. Politics is theatre, designed to make you feel as if you have a choice. You don't. So that's what Lawrence Fox said. I do find it fascinating how people like Sadiq Khan and the other pro-centralization globalist elites use certain wording that used to be used by the dictatorships in order to introduce tyrannical policies. It's always either in the national interest, national security concerns, or public health, saving lives. That's exactly the wording he used. That's exactly how dictatorships do their own stuff. You had after the 1979 coup in Iran that they called revolution, but it was a coup. The new Islamic Republic, or the Islamic occupiers, decided to introduce tyrannical policies, societal behavioral societal measures to protect you, save you from yourselves. The social credit system in China is the same thing. We are having the same problem here. And as I said, that's why they want to introduce the monitoring system in order to check the traffic and population or overpopulation in certain areas. They will check your location. They will check your behavior using your phone, because everybody now has a phone basically, and they will find out where you are, who you are, what you're doing. And I know it's not really the perfect solution, but as I said earlier, that's why I didn't want to turn it into a commercial thing in the middle of a video. But I personally use Atlas VPN. The reason I talk about Atlas VPN, they are our partners on the channel, and they help us because despite being on YouTube, you still have difficulties with monetizations and everything else. So you have to have partners. Atlas VPN are the best partners that we have, because compare it to, look at this image, comparing it to all the other big VPN softwares, it actually works on unlimited devices, email protection, full ad blocker and everything else. And you don't have to, you can be a technophobe. All you have to do is just click on the link in the description, download it, one button, and it will protect you, at least to some extent, against the tyrannical big tech and government. 85% off deal, £1.50 a month. On top of that, you get 3 months extra. Use my personalized link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.